Is your meat making you fat? In the next few minutes, I am going to demystify all the hoopla around grass-fed, hormone-free, and some other key terms, and show you how some of these choices could be the game changer in your weight loss and aging for longevity journey. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Phyllis Thompson, your favorite hormone hacking coach for weight loss. In every single one of my videos, you'll walk away with at least one tip that you can implement right away to start shrinking that waist, feeling better, and aging for longevity. So let me know below. Are you catching me live? Are you catching the replay? Where you're tuning in from? And do you have a preference? Grass-fed, hormone-free, or no preference at all when it comes to your meat choices? So last week we talked about organic and non-GMO produce. So later on today, I'll be posting some graphics that show you the cleanest veggies to purchase and the dirtiest is taken from the Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen list from the EWG group. And I'll put those in my story so you have an idea of some veggies that are okay to buy non-organic and the ones you want to always look for organic. Typically, if it has a thick skin, you might be okay, but it does, again, depend on how those seeds are grown and things like that. But now let's move into our conventional grass-fed organic meats. So this choice can make a huge difference, right? Because there is a big difference in the way these meats are raised, right? Grass-fed is more nutritious, it's higher in vitamins A and E. And a little side note on the vitamins here. My ladies with thyroid disorders, you need that vitamin A so that that thyroid hormone can get into your cells. And my perimenopause and menopause ladies, you need that vitamin A as well because it helps your body get rid of excess estrogen. And we all know vitamin E does an amazing amount of things for just all of us. So that's one key thing there. Grass-fed beef also contains antioxidants, more than grain-fed beef. Plus, it's lower in saturated fat. So let's talk about the fat for a second. You've heard me say before that grass-fed beef produces short-chain fatty acids, right? Which your body uses immediately as energy. Whereas conventionally raised cattle, they produce long-chain fatty acids, which your body stores, right? So first of all, I want my I want my grass-fed beef, my grass-fed bone-in ribeye. It's my fave, right? I want that fat to be getting used immediately for energy and to make healthy hormones for my body so that I stay balanced, right? And then I can use that bone later to make bone broth that I can sip on a Sunday, right? That helps heal my gut and gives my body natural collagen, okay? Now, let me tell you something, sis. You can totally age like a goddess and gracefully and let your food heal what other people are taking pills for if you know how to do it. Now, with conventionally raised cattle, as I said, they're grain fed or soy fed and a ton of other things that are happening with them. So they're going to produce long chain fatty acids, which again, your body stores. I don't know about you, but we do not need fat put in the bank over here. So I'm good. All right. Second, animals raised conventionally are raised in factory farms and they're fed grain-based diets or GMO corn and soy. Y'all heard me say maybe last week or the week before that we already talked about GMO last week, so I'm not going to beat that dead horse. No pun intended. But soy, come on. Soy will diminish your thyroid function if you have a thyroid disorder by 7% after every serving, okay? It is not good for our bodies. I'm just going to leave that there. I'm not going to keep going on about that. In other words, it slows your metabolism, okay? So if you're eating that animal that's been fed that's what you're putting in your body, right? They're also raised in poor conditions, which makes them more prone to disease. So they are sick a lot. So that's why they put antibiotics in their feed. And these bovine antibiotics are used also to make them fat. So if you're eating the meat that has the GMO corn, the soy, the grains, the antibiotics, what else do you think you're eating or ingesting when you have that animal? Yes, this is an interactive live today. Y'all know that, right? So you're eating all that stuff and you're getting those antibiotics, right? So guess what else those antibiotics are doing? For my ladies with any type of autoimmune condition, it's making it worse. It is causing your body to go into overdrive with attacking itself. So also, a lot of people take antibiotics for different illnesses. Sometimes that cannot be avoided. But if you're also ingesting it in your meats, it's going to cause other issues too. So overuse of antibiotics has been known to cause gas, bloating, anxiety, and depression in people that take a lot of antibiotics. And it also disrupts our natural gut biome. Your gut is where serotonin and dopamine, the feel-good hormones, are produced. So take a guess at what this overexposure to antibiotics could be doing to your physical and mental state. Okay. Plus, many factory farms use fertilizers and chemicals that can pollute the environment and jack up your hormones. We talked about that last week, right? All of that estrogen dominance and stuff that attacks our thyroid function, which messes up our metabolism and our skin and leads to diseases out of nowhere. So these are key reasons why we want to take note of what kind of food we're putting into our bodies, right? And especially with the game changer, they're knowing that a grass-fed piece of beef, right, that fat's going to be used as energy right away, so it's not going to be stored. That is a metabolism game changer right there for you, okay? Also, Consumer Reports showed that 300 grain and grass-fed meat samples were significantly different in the amount of toxins and the amount of antibiotic-resistant contaminants or bacteria that were in them. So antibiotic resistant bacteria, think about that for a second. That means that you're ingesting that and it's now in your body and it is disrupting your gut biome, right? Which leads to leaky gut. And we'll talk about leaky gut soon, I promise, because there's a whole host of things that we aren't even considering and wondering why we have so many food sensitivities and why we're getting so sick so often. But also these resistant gut bugs are what causes superbugs, right? All these illnesses that we have no explanation for. But again, we'll talk about that probably in about a couple of weeks because it's directly linked to our gut health, right? But these are reasons why we're getting so sick. But when they compared the grass-fed samples to the conventionally raised samples, they only had 6% of these contaminants, whereas the conventionally raised had almost triple that. So now, don't get me wrong. It is not easy sometimes or inexpensive to make this shift. So if you're feeding a large family, you may want to just being informed is really the first step. Having your eyes open so that when you're in the grocery store, you're taking note of the different options, what they do to your body and the price differences, right? I find that when I shop at my local farmers market, I get better prices. I shop at Sprouts the majority of the time, and y'all hear me talk about it. I probably should have stock in Sprouts. I'm going to actually look that up because a stock tip for you, I heard last week that they're opening like 40 stores next year. So while some are closing, they are opening like 40 stores. So I'm definitely looking into Sprout stock. Hopefully they pay dividends, but that's not here or there. Right, so you'll want to take into consideration your budget, obviously, but for me, this is a huge priority for me because I care about what I put in my body. Now, I'm not going to say for a second that this would have been easy when my kids were younger. Definitely not, because we were a family of 6 then. So just being informed is the first step. Take a look at your different options, the different prices. As I said, I get the best prices at the farmers market, even outside of Sprouts. Sometimes I can get better prices at I think it's called the DeKalb Farmers Market. We have a couple here in Georgia that are amazing. There's the Beaufort Farmers Market, and then there's the DeKalb Farmers Market, and then I like Sprouts as well. So I'll take a look at the differences in prices, and I recommend maybe doing that, seeing where you can add it in. So for me, I eat out less. Now, I'm not saying I don't eat out, but I do eat out less because I pay for the quality of my food. So I'm going to spend more money on the groceries that are in my house that we're going to be eating more of on a day-to-day basis versus going out more to eat and ordering a lot of takeout, right? Because none of that food is going to help me age the way I want to age. None of that food is going to help me be buoyant, full of energy and happy. That's a priority for me. That's a priority for me, for my family. So I take that into consideration. So start there, being informed first, checking the different prices at the different grocery stores. Again, my favorites are local farmers markets and Sprouts, love Sprouts. And just, see where you can start making some changes and adding different things in, right? I find that once we know why we're doing something, it makes it easier for us to make the choice, right? The same thing with our skincare products, which I mentioned like 2 weeks ago, right? So it may not be easy to completely overhaul all of the stuff that you're putting on your body. But what you can do is when something runs out, because I don't believe in waste, when something runs out, now start looking for a healthier, cleaner option so that what you're putting in your skin isn't soaking in, getting in your bloodstream and making you sick, lethargic, and estrogen dominant, which leads to belly fat and mood swings and all those things. It is truly within our power for us to age gracefully, right? We can heal our bodies with food instead of doing what other people are doing. They're taking pills to be healthy, but we can do it in a less expensive way with our food. Because if you wait until you're sick and you're buying all sorts of medications, that's way more expensive than taking the proactive step and looking at the different choices and options and making the better choice when you can. That's all I've got for you today. Until next time, ciao.